You haven't said a single word in 45 minutes, and you've understood this conversation more deeply than anyone who's been talking. You tracked every thread. You noticed the moment someone's argument contradicted what they said 10 minutes ago. You caught the tension between two people that nobody else in the room seems to have picked up on. You've been running the most sophisticated analysis in the building. Most people would look at you and see someone who has nothing to say. Science sees something completely different. There's a reason the quietest person in any room is usually the most dangerous one in it, and today we're going to talk about exactly what that reason is. Here's what the world believes about quiet people. They're shy, they're passive, they're disengaged. They don't contribute because they either have nothing to contribute or they're too afraid to try. But neuroscientists discovered something that completely dismantles that story, and it starts with understanding how certain brains actually work under social pressure. Imagine your brain as a processing system. In a one-on-one conversation, the load is manageable. One voice, one thread, one person's energy to track. Your system can handle the input and produce output simultaneously. But in a group, the complexity doesn't just double, it multiplies almost exponentially. Multiple voices, multiple threads running at the same time, multiple people's moods, histories, and subtext to monitor all at once. For a brain that processes all of that deeply and thoroughly, and some brains genuinely do, something has to give. And what gives is the output. Not because there's nothing to say, because there is too much being understood to speak at the same time. That's not a deficiency, that is a different architecture. And architecture determines what you're built for. Here's a question worth sitting with. Were you always this way, or did you become this way because the world kept showing you that speaking wasn't always safe? For a lot of people who move through the world quietly, the watching came first. Before they had words for what they were sensing, they were already picking things up. The mood in the house before anyone spoke, the difference between what someone said and what their face actually meant. The way certain rooms felt different depending on who had just left them. Children who grow up in emotionally complex environments often develop their observational capacity as a survival skill. If you can read the room quickly enough, you can prepare, you can adjust, soften. So watching became the strategy, and silence became the armor. And over years, that armor became so comfortable, so much a part of how you moved through the world, that you forgot it was ever a defense at all. You just started thinking of yourself as someone who prefers to listen. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about understanding that your brain made a very smart decision with the information it had at the time. And smart decisions don't always look comfortable from the outside. Now, let's talk about the part that isn't a gift, because there's a cost to the way you're built, and it deserves to be said out loud. Not because you didn't know, not because you were afraid exactly, but because the window opened and closed before your thought finished forming, and by the time it was ready, the conversation had already moved on, and you walked out of that room carrying it. That happens a lot, more than most people realize. The quiet person is often the one who leaves with the most unspoken. And there's something else. You absorb more than your share of the emotional data in every room you enter. The tension, the subtext, the thing that went unsaid. You bring it home with you. You're still processing it 3 hours later. Most people walked out of that conversation and forgot it. You're still there. They come from exactly the same place, which changes everything about what comes next. Here's what I want you to understand about the way you're built. The world is full of people who are talking constantly, loudly, confidently, and many of them are talking past each other, saying words that land nowhere near the thing that actually needed to be said. You are the person in the room who knows what actually needed to be said. You're the one who notices when someone's argument has a hole in it and decides whether it matters enough to name. You're the one whose silence, in the right moment, lands harder than any speech, because people feel the difference between someone who is performing presence and someone who is actually there. You are actually there. The people who changed the direction of a room usually spoke last, or didn't speak at all until the moment where it mattered. In a world where everyone is producing noise, you produce signal. That is not a consolation prize. That is a rare and genuinely useful way to be. So let's say what you actually are. You are not someone who has nothing to say. You are someone who has learned over years in rooms that didn't make space for depth, that words are expensive, that they carry weight, that the wrong ones cost something, and so you spend them carefully. That is not a social deficiency. That is the most precise relationship with language that a human being can have. You were never the quiet one. You were the one who was paying attention. If this gave language to something you felt your entire life, the next video goes one layer deeper. It answers the question this one left open. If quiet people see everything, why do they so rarely act on it? That video is already waiting.